talk about Stitched, people ask me, so do you quilt? And I don't. I really wish I could learn, and some really famous quilters, including Carol Breyer Fowler, have offered to teach me to quilt, and I think I need to take them up on that. We attended our first quilt show in the fall of 2009, and we were hoping just to learn a little bit about the festival and maybe use some of the footage. But we ended up getting such great interviews that we used a lot of what we shot in the fall of 2009. I decided to make quilting the topic of my first film because I was just fascinated by the number of quilters who gather here in Houston every year. More than 60,000 quilters came last year, and it really doesn't matter what's happening here in the city. There could be a hurricane or a World Series game. Nothing will stop these quilters. We decided to feature these three quilters in Stitch because we really wanted to show the strong bonds of friendship amongst quilters. So you have Carol Breyer Fowler, who taught Hala Shatlan, who in turn taught Randall Cook. And so we really thought that it was easy to weave this story between the three of those friends. Tom Gandy is the director of photography of Stitched, and he's also my husband. He really influenced me to get into filmmaking. He'd been dabbling in filmmaking for a couple years and bought all these cameras, so I really wanted to put him to work and his camera gear. So it was pretty easy to convince him to work on Stitched. And then I also worked with Nancy Starnoff at the Houston Chronicle for many years, and she heard me talking about this quilting documentary, and her grandmother was a quilter as well. So she volunteered to be a producer for Stitched. Ever since we released Stitched in April of 2011, it seems like we've really become part of the quilting subculture. I go and speak at museums and art galleries about Stitched and about the quilters we interviewed. And we released Stretching for Quilters a few months ago, and that's basically an exercise program for quilters, and it features Randall Cook, who is also in Stitched. I've seen a lot of amazing quilts over the last couple of years, but the one that really touched me the most was the one that was made by about 30 boys and girls who are part of the Covenant Youth Quilt Guild here in Houston. And they made it for us to show at our booth at the Houston Quilt Show. And we also took it with us to the Carmel Film Festival, and we'll be taking it to the Sedona Film Festival. I was just touched by how these kids were such talented quilters, and they made it so quickly in 2 Saturdays. So it was really very touching. We've just been so amazed by the outpouring of support for Stitched. We've gotten into 5 film festivals, and we've toured the country showing it to quilters and non-quilters alike. And we're really happy with that. We're hoping to make more films. My husband wants to make some art films and feature films, and I want to make some documentaries. So we'll see what happens next.